Hello everyone out there in TikTok. It is International Sloth Day, and of course, we're just hanging around at Sloth Zoo here at the San Diego Zoo. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we thought, for Sloth Day, why not have one of our amazing ambassadors here joining us today? So right now, folks, you're looking at Tornero. If you don't like to roll those R's, Tornero is his name. 2.5-year-old two-toed sloth. And as you can see right now, you can kind of figure out how they get their name. It's an interesting side note. You may have heard of the three-toed sloth as well. Both species will have the 3 nails you see on the back, but the two-toed sloth you'll see in the front limbs there. Now he is enjoying a variety of little tasty treats, of course. Now this is an animal you're going to be able to find in one of our conservation hubs. Now here at San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, we do conservation work all over the world. 8 conservation hubs that span over 6 continents on planet Earth, over 200 collaborators in conservation efforts. And to be honest with you, it's really all about Amazonia for me. It's my favorite type of wildlife and plant species on planet Earth. I mean, everything from this beautiful two-toed sloth to the butterflies, blue morphos, scarlet macaws, the iconic jaguar species. There is such a plethora of wildlife and organisms in Amazonia, Central and South America. Now, this particular species really melts the hearts of a lot of our guests at the San Diego Zoo and the Safari Park. By the way, we do have ambassadors that can be found in both of our areas, our 2 front doors. For all our TikTok listeners out there, if you're not familiar with San Diego, we have our 2 front door organization zoos here in sunny San Diego, the San Diego Zoo, and about 40 minutes north in a town called Escondido, we have the Safari Park, and there you can find another sloth ambassador as well. Now, as I was mentioning, these animals, they really inspire many, many people. I mean, just look at that handsome face, those beautiful eyes. These animals are iconic when you think of South American rainforests, those jungle type of habitats. And he's really enjoying those treats, isn't he? You can even hear him doing those crunchy sounds a little bit.
Yeah, and you can see those little teeth. Look at those little teeth. Yeah, they're not so little, are they?
Not at all. And people don't even realize that sloths do have very sharp incisors as well. They can use that to defend themselves. Now, right now, he's enjoying a variety of different kind of reinforcers of tasty treats. We saw some broccoli, some yam. Now, of course, in the wild, that may not be the items he'll be eating out there, or for his cousins out there in Amazonia Conservation Hub. For instance, they'll eat leaves, branches, buds, things of that nature. So definitely a vegetarian is what you're looking at, but he is very capable of defending himself. I know he looks sweet, he looks very cuddly, but I want to remind everyone, you are looking at still a wild animal. He is an ambassador to his brothers and sisters out there in South America, and they can defend themselves. So it's an animal you definitely want to appreciate, but also respect at a distance. If you find yourselves traveling in those areas, I myself have gone to Costa Rica many, many times. It's one of my favorite animals to interact and observe out there in the wild. And it's really a good topic of conversation, a reminder for our guests as well when traveling to these beautiful areas. When you want to see wildlife like this, you want to make sure you're going to those travel organizations or companies that are reputable, that are following all the specific guidelines and ordinances of those specific countries, whether it be Costa Rica, Panama, Peru. Definitely do your research, and you want to support those accredited tourist companies when you want to experience these things. And it is breathtaking. I mean, I don't want to lie to you guys. It's really a sight to see when you're hiking through a jungle and you look up in those trees and you see this amazing species. Now, talking about trees and talking about this handsome face here with Tornero, look at him climb around, folks. Look at this adaptation. This animal, when you talk about evolution and adaptation and traits for living in specific environments, they are a perfect example of that. Their life is literally quite upside down, but he is perfectly designed to do so. While you're looking at him, first look at those nails that we saw, those claws, very, very sharp. Now that will help him climb about in his jungle habitat. He does it very effectively. their muscle mass is about 25% of their body. So it's actually less than most mammals out there in the planet. And that serves a very important role. So they're not as heavy as other mammals would be of about the same size here. And this allows the two-toed, the three-toed, other sloth species to maneuver very effectively to even those very thin, lightweight branches. So Tornado out there can find those really yummy flowers or buds or certain leaves that it really wants to find out there in the wild. And not only the nails, also look at this beautiful hair, this fur that you see. Do you guys notice how the direction of the hair is growing? It's almost the exact opposite of what you would think normally with other mammals, right? And I'm sure you can envision why. Because of their life being upside down, it actually reflects that same life size. So you can see how it's actually parted from the belly there. Can you guys see that? And it'll help it to protect them from out there when it's raining quite heavily in those rainforest habitats. Oh yeah, here you go, buddy. And show them that little belly too.
You want that?
Now, you know, but while he's getting his little treat here, they have an amazing sense of smell, folks. Eyesight's okay. Hearing is pretty good. They actually hear very low frequencies, better than higher pitch frequencies. And that's actually because of the sounds that they can emit. Now, they're not quite as vocal as, say, maybe a squirrel monkey or another type of mammalian species you might see out there in the wild. But that sense of smell is amazing. So we can smell that ripe fruit as an example. And again, the hearing, picking up those low vocals that perhaps a female might give. That's another thing. They are, oh, I think he's falling asleep.
Is he asleep? Yeah.
I think my story's not as exciting, but you know what, folks? I'm sure you're as riveted as I am about the love story. So this is the love life of Tornado. So generally, he has his own little habitat. He's enjoying his life. Many different sloths can actually share the same habitat, so they're not as territorial as some other mammals may be out there in the wild. However, when there is a female in the area who's ready to mate, she will emit a very specific sound, a signal to all the nearby males in the area that she is available for mating, for reproduction. Now, when that happens, of course, he will hear that very unique sound. I'm sure it's very melodious to his ears, and then he'll start making his way towards that female. Now, I did mention they're not as territorial as other species out there, but when it's time to find that mate, if he comes across another male and they're converging that territory of the female, they might actually start displaying some of that territorial behavior. I know.
Yeah, he's decided it's nap
That's
time.
okay. I think it's my dulcet tones as well, guys. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, your voice is just so
I know.
silky smooth. Put him right to sleep.
I'll try to rock it out a little more, but I'm sure you guys aren't falling asleep. But what they'll do, they'll actually compete a little bit physically, try to push off the other male to gain those breeding rights for that female. They'll still hold on with those very powerful back legs, but then use those front legs to really try to push off that other male. Now, I would like to highlight those things like those incisors, those sharp talons, because again, this is not the cute and cuddly little stuff at any kind of store, or even here at the San Diego Zoo and Safari Park, by the way, because they do look cute and cuddly, but I still love to remind everyone that this still is a wild animal and perfectly capable of defending himself. Now, not only are they using that equipment to try to fight off another male for those breeding rights, he also has a lot of predators out there in Amazonia. I mean, picture yourself out in the jungle and you're a sloth, just like Tornado here. You have to watch out for quite a few things out there, folks. I mean, we have the jaguar is another one. There's other cat species out there, like the ocelot as an example, that would take the opportunity to predate on an animal like this. There's also giant snakes. I'm sure a lot of you heard of the anaconda as an example. That's something he has to watch out for. I'm a big bird guy, and I definitely know that the harpy eagle is a species he will most definitely have to watch out for out there in the wild. But they got adaptations to watch out for that, folks. So I want to point out one right now is back to that hair, the fur that you see here. Now, it's hard to see on camera, and even with my eyes, I can't see it. But every single hair on Tornado has these tiny little grooves on it. Tiny, tiny grooves, and that will allow algae to actually grow in that hair. So a few adaptations that they have. One, they are very slow normally. Now, they can pick up speed if they need to. Normally, that slow movement helps them blend into the trees and the leaves, but those grooves, the algae growing around that, you won't see it so much with Tornado right here, because here our wildlife care specialists do an excellent job of making sure he's nice and clean and presentable. There you go, buddy. Are you enjoying that?
Ooh, big snack bite. And everybody stay tuned because we do have some other amazing animals that we're going to be meeting throughout this live. We're just hanging with literally Tornero right now, but we will have some other folks coming out, so stay tuned.
Yeah, definitely. So many ambassadors to share with you folks today on, if you just joined us, it's International Sloth Day. So we're here with Tornero and his wildlife care specialist, and we were just talking about some of the adaptations they use to help avoid a predator. And we were talking about that for the hare. They have tiny little grooves where algae can grow, and that's very specific. That way, say in the rainforest, there's mainly 2 seasons out there, the dry season and the wet season. So I'm sure you can imagine what happens in the wet season. That algae starts growing, it starts turning a very green color. So picture Tornero with a nice green hue blending in with that surrounding foliage. And conversely, and I know this from just going out there in Costa Rica in the dry season, it turns that brownish color, helps him blend in perfectly in that environment. So there's a lot of adaptations he can use to try to avoid a predator out there.
And some people who are just joining us are asking how we can tell if it's a 2 or a 3-toed. And I know that's a little confusing, right? Because on this back leg, we've got 3 toes.
We do. You're absolutely right, guys. So if you notice, again, as Taylor was pointing out, the 2-toed, the 3-toed sloth all have 3. 1, 2, 3 in the back limbs there. But let's go to the front limbs, and that's really the difference. I'm sure you guys can see, right? 1, 2 for the 2-toed sloth, and of course an additional 1 for the 3-toed sloth. So that's an excellent way to tell from both. It might get a little tricky out there if you're traveling in Amazonia habitats to try to see it, but that's mainly the real difference between the two. Look at that sense of smell, how the specialist is offering a certain little biscuit. Notice how he just sniffed that out there. Such an amazing sense of smell.
And how is their eyesight? Do they have very good eyesight?
Eyesight's not great. Now I would admit, compared to a human being, it's probably better than ours in many respects. For one, this animal is mainly a nocturnal species. So yes, he can see okay, but really the main attributes that he's using to survive out there is his sense of smell and his hearing. But they see well enough to nighttime. I don't know if you've ever been out there in those nighttime jungles, but it gets very, very dark out there, that they are mainly a nocturnal species. Now, in case you're wondering, why is Tornero up right now? Mainly, he's eating during the day, right? So he knows I'm going to get most of my good stuff during the day. Plus, Tornero here, he doesn't go on a chow for a harpy eagle or a jaguar. So he is perfectly content being up during the day and interacting with his wildlife care specialist, and of course with all you wonderful people. And just a reminder, Tornero you can find here at the San Diego Zoo. We have 3 ambassadors here at the San Diego Zoo.
That's a sleepy snack.
I know,
if I've ever
right?
seen one.
Admittedly, I do that every now and again too, especially with Thanksgiving coming up. But today's not about me. It's about Tornero and his wild brothers and sisters. And I just wanted to remind guests, there's many opportunities to see these amazing ambassadors, whether you're just enjoying your adventures out there throughout the safari park or the San Diego Zoo. But we also have specialized tours that we offer for all of our wonderful guests. So if you're a particular fan of, say, the sloth, we have a tour for you, or a cat species, or I'm a big bird guy. If you're an avian fan, we have tours that can really help you out as well. So I just want to remind everyone to visit our website, sdzwa.org, and that will help guide you to all the amazing tours and experiences that we can offer for our guests here. Yummy, yummy. That's great, I know.
A little bit of squash going on there.
That's excellent. And you know, we always use high-end training techniques, really utilizing operant conditioning tactics or techniques to use to interact with these amazing animals, to showcase all these natural behaviors out there, really relying on positive reinforcement to be able to show you all these amazing attributes, from free-flying birds to Tornero here, to cheetah runs. I mean, the list goes on. You guys, you can train anything, whether it be a cockroach, a wonderful sloth like this, your significant others too, by the way. So
significant others, there we go.
It's a very useful tool. Positive reinforcement works great.
We have a bit of a rumor going on, just really quick, that I want to address.
Okay.
That we are not live right now. So Marco, could you say hi to TikTok and let them know that we are live?
Hey,
yes,
TikTok,
we are.
yes, we're live. It is. Let me look at my watch right here. 10:20 right now. It is 1 o'clock. It's a nice little breeze today if you want to check the weather in San Diego. The sun is out, the sky is blue, life is good. But we are live here at San Diego Zoo with Tornero and other amazing wildlife ambassadors.
And it looks like we've got a new friend.
We do. So he's going to enjoy his snacks here for a second, guys. And let's move over here And maybe Shauna can tell us a little bit about our wonderful American beaver, right? Is that what we have here, Shauna?
This is Justine Beaver.
Justine Beaver, oh my gosh.
Name. And she is a North American beaver. She is already over 10 years old, has been with us pretty much her whole life. She came to us from the Minnesota Zoo.
That's amazing.
A little under a year old. And we've developed a very strong relationship with her over the years. So this has taken a long time to be able to get this close to the beaver and have her trust us. You know, she is still a prey animal, not a predator. So she's gonna have to really feel safe when she's coming out and getting to see everybody.
That's completely understandable. And again, we were talking about operant conditioning. You can see, folks, how Shauna was just mentioning about her shy behavior, but utilizing operant conditioning and positive reinforcement, we're able to make her have all the choice of control and feel comfortable out here to engage with the public in these wonderful situations. And also, I want to point out, while she's out here, I love the name, by the way, Justine Beaver. That's a great name. But you know, we were talking about animals that are wonderfully adapted to their environment. So I'm sure you can already tell that Justine Beaver here is not someone or an animal that'll be climbing up in a tree per se, right? She probably doesn't live in a desert, may or may not be found in the Arctic. She's probably, I'm sure all of you know, but if you don't know, this is an aquatic mammal. And you can see a lot of that with the adaptations right now. For one, look at that amazingly thick fur that Justine has. Helps her stay nice and warm. You'll be able to see these animals in North America in particular, even going into the water in the coldest of winters. But they have that thick fat in their skin, very thick, dense fur that protects them out there. Now, unfortunately, that is one of the reasons these animals were being hunted out in the past. The numbers dropped drastically because of that beautiful fur. But don't worry, folks. She's a wonderful ambassador to her cousins out there in the wild, and why we need to protect these iconic North American species as well. And look at that big tail out there. And we talked about the nails for the sloth, but look at that tail. Now, if not mistaken, Shauna, this is still part of the rodent family, correct?
Yes, she has ever-growing teeth for the rodent family. So
exactly right.
Her teeth. And this tail is super important.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of adaptation with that, right? Maneuvering, almost like a rudder, wouldn't you say? It's maneuvering in the water out there?
Use it to like a rudder of a boat to turn, and also when they're making those dams that beavers are known for, they'll use this tail to kind of pat the mud and all the wood together to make their little house.
Yeah.
And then they use it to communicate as well. You said that she was a prey animal, right?
Yeah.
So when they're in the water and some predator goes by or they don't feel safe, they will slap their tail really hard in the water to like let everybody know, hey, hide under the water. So predators are coming, so they will do that. So this tail is incredibly important.
What an amazing species. Honestly, I'm glad you mentioned the dam. In my opinion, this is a keystone species for those habitats, isn't it, in North America? I mean, these animals will create estuaries, waterways, water sources for many other animals in the areas. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Yellowstone National Park, and you can see how integral, how special these animals are for those kind of habitats, creating these waterways for not only animal life, for plant life to thrive as well. They are creating these micro habitats. Hi, how you doing? I got a little distracted too because they are so cute, guys. But look, we mentioned she's part of the rodent. Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. There you go. Grab it.
She grabs. She be grabbing. And you guys, yeah, it is Sloth Day. Absolutely. We just took a little break to give Tornero a quick second, and we're live with Justine, but we'll be right back to sloths.
That was my first time trying to feed a beaver, guys. I know I didn't do
You
great,
did a really great job.
No,
No, it was perfect. I really think it's perfect.
Let's try one more time. Here we go.
You got it. You got it. Oh, there we go.
Yes,
you did it.
Awesome. But look,
And that's
we mentioned
years of trust.
exactly. No, definitely. You guys did an amazing job. You can see how I have no more. That's all I have. But while we're looking at her and eating, you can see what I mean by being part of the rodent family, right? You can see those incisors that Shauna was talking about. Oh, actually, right now, let's look at this. She's using a target to help redirect her to this particular area. Just highlighting all the amazing training that we have here. Our wildlife care specialists are specialists for a reason. They've worked very hard, very knowledgeable, using operant conditioning as part of their toolkit to be able to showcase these amazing animals, folks. I mean, and just look at that face. How can you not love this beaver?
The little grabbing hands, Captain Crunch over here.
Hands just like we do on those.
I know, this is so great. highly adaptable. Now, I mentioned we do have conservation homes all over the planet, and also it's a good reminder by looking at it right now that it's also important to protect the habitats and the native species in our own backyards. We have one here in San Diego called the Southwestern Hub, protecting local plant and animal life as well. So it really highlights the work we do not only in other countries around the world, but also right here, of course, in sunny San Diego. And with that, I encourage all of you, support your local accredited zoos and aquariums. If you're not fortunate enough to visit us here in sunny San Diego, I'm sure you have a zoo, accredited zoo or aquarium in your neighborhood, and I'd really recommend you going out there to help support these wonderful organizations. Oh, what a smart,
they have terrible
smart
eyesight.
beaver.
They do have terrible eyesight,
They
right?
have terrible eyesight, but amazing hearing and amazing sense of smell, obviously, because they're rodents, right? So when she couldn't see me, I just tapped. And that's kind of what this is, the target pole. We've used it also as a sound.
Oh, that's excellent. You know, that's the first time I've heard of a target being used for an auditory cue, too. So that's really great. Okay, Shauna, tell me, what are some of the predators that she would have to watch out for out there in the wild?
Worry about all of the normal.
All of them, right?
The bobcat, and, you know, like, obviously, wolves go on and off the endangered species list, but, you know,
which is
they
wonderful.
Yep. You know, they just have, I know. But one of the main issue is just trying to live amongst humans.
Exactly.
Just like, I mean, obviously they have natural predators, and from some states they kind of think of these guys as kind of pests.
Yeah,
but we don't.
But no, exactly right. And, you know, that leads us to a very important thing, concept that we have here at San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance called the One Health approach to conservation. A holistic way. Really, what it's about, it's not only just protecting the wildlife, but also the ecosystems. And what I am most proud of is the communities in those areas that engage with wildlife. As Shauna was mentioning, some communities may consider the beaver as a pest, but we need to understand that they serve a very integral role in these habitats. I think of like the Great Lakes in Michigan, or these beautiful waterways in Yosemite, and how it wouldn't be as vibrant if it wasn't for wonderful species like Justine Beaver here. So it's an excellent concept of trying to live cohesively with wildlife, especially with those communities that live right at the precipice or right at the edge of wonderful habitats like the North American wildlife that we can see here.
They're just so important to all the other animals and the greenery and just the habitat around them.
Exactly.
Not around, a lot of things die.
Yeah, exactly right. We definitely want them out there. I mean, how can you say no to that face, ladies and gentlemen? I mean,
the
right?
video is not frozen. She is frozen.
That's right, TikTok.
She does that where she's kind of like, wait a minute.
But that's a very good instinct, right? Out there in the wild, you have to watch out for that sort of thing.
She's still a wild animal. She's just trust us.
Yeah, right.
10 years of doing this.
Yeah, and am I incorrect to say now, unlike the sloth, who's generally a solitary creature, this is a little more of a social species, wouldn't you say?
Yes, and so we've just definitely developed our relationship with her. And it did take some time, like I said. She didn't really know of humans as, you know, something that was a positive thing when she first came here.
Yeah,
but we definitely have grown that. So we're kind of part of her family.
That's wonderful. And
we do have her here and another beaver that is also in the basket.
Oh, really? Oh, excellent.
I think her name's Peanut, the other one.
Peanut?
I think her name's Peanut.
Yep, it is Peanut. You may have seen Peanut recently on our Facebook page. There's a really great video of Peanut snacking.
Well, you heard it here, TikTok. If you want to see more beavers in San Diego, come to the San Diego Zoo. We have two wonderful ambassadors for you to enjoy here. And just, it's amazing when you see the variations in adaptiveness for different species. You know, we're looking at two different mammals from the Americas, but very completely different types of habitats. Wouldn't you agree, everyone out there in TikTok land, that from the colder conifer habitats to those vibrant, warm jungles of South America?
I brought some of her browse with her.
Oh, excellent.
She might want it, but no, she doesn't. She gets fresh cut browse every day from our amazing horticulture department. So she gets a variety of things, which is part of her diet. It's not just to work on their teeth. They actually need to ingest all of that.
Yeah.
So I brought some of it thinking she might eat it in front of you guys, but
she's not feeling the fiber today.
Not today.
So she'll get it later. I was just going to let her walk around a little, and then I know that we still have Tornero.
Yep, we still have some really amazing animals to see. Y'all stay tuned. I know some of you are chomping at the bit for sloths, but they're coming back. This is Justine Beaver, and she is a North American beaver. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. So folks, if you're just joining us, today is International Sloth Day. Let me get the shout out of Justine Beaver here. And I know what you're thinking, it's Sloth Day. Why are we showing a beaver? Well, we wanted to really highlight the Americas, the wonderful variety of the biodiversity of wildlife in the Americas, North America, Central, South America. These iconic species that we're all familiar with growing up. I know there is a cartoon of a beaver that I was in love with when I was a kid, so there really was an iconic species.
She is going to be ready to put herself home.
Oh, it's going to be nap time soon for
Maybe we
Justine
can-
Beaver here.
Maybe we can go say hi to Tornero again.
Yeah, I just want to let you guys know that.
All right, well, bye, Justine. We're going to go say hi to some more sloths.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
How great, right, guys? Right in the comfort of your own homes, your offices, wherever you may be, traveling through the Americas to see all this amazing wildlife. Now, again, it is International Sloth Day. And why do we have this day? Why do we have these types of days to represent certain wildlife species? It's to bring awareness, folks, of the conservation work, of the need to protect these species. But really, I should just stop talking because we're looking at absolute cuteness right now. Look at them eating that wonderful, it's hibiscus flower, correct? So different types of wonderful food items that we offer for the wildlife. You try to give them a variety of different dietary needs, and a big shout out to our nutritional services departments, of course, at the San Diego Zoo and the Safari Park. They work so hard to make sure our animals receive the best care and the best diets that we can offer. That looks so tasty. I want to eat it. But you can see over here that Tornero is enjoying all parts of the flower. You notice he's eating the leaves, the stems. Now, if you didn't join us earlier, this animal is a complete vegetarian. Now, they also sleep about 10 to 15 hours a day per se, and they have a very unique stomach because they don't have one, they don't have two, they don't have three, they got four stomach chambers. Think of like a cow, actually. So they're constantly digesting all that material out there. The sun definitely helps them out. I remember being out in the jungles, and early in the morning you'd watch these guys climb up to the very tops of the trees, exposing their belly. It almost, if you've ever seen our lemurs or meerkats at the Safari Park or the San Diego Zoo, opening up their arms and welcoming the sun, they do that as well. But you know, it serves very adaptive purposes as well. The sun is warming up the bacteria in their belly. They are like a walking mini planet, in my opinion. Everything about them in the wild out there, folks. We talked about the algae growing all over their fur to help them blend into their natural habitat. It wouldn't be uncommon to see a variety of different insects, from moths, other varieties as well, living in this fur also. But it's also not just the stuff outside of the sloth body, but if we use our imagination and look into that stomach chamber, the 4 stomach chambers of the sloth, you'll see a very special bacteria that it helps them break down and process all that material out there. I mean, think about another conservation hub, our Australian forest as an example. I'm sure all of you heard of a koala before, and that animal has a very specific dietary technique also, eating those eucalyptus leaves that are really hard to digest, but they are perfectly adapted for doing so, and they're a relatively slow animal as well. Basically, he's just moving slow, processing all that food, all that energy out there to try to get all the best nutrients out of, which is normally for other animals would be a sort of a low nutrients kind of a diet, but they're perfectly adapted to eating all that foliage, flowers, twigs out there, as you can see. Absolutely loves them.
And they're known for being pretty slow, right? But are they just slow all the time?
For the most part, they move relatively slow, but I have seen them move if they need to move. So I just wanted to point that out. But there's a few things. Let's talk about speed. I would say we talked about the teeth earlier, folks, but if you jumped on, we were highlighting that, yes, you look at this face, you can understand why they reach the hearts of so many people out there in the world. But this is still a wild animal. I mean, look at the very sharp talons, the nails that he has there. Extremely sharp incisors too to defend himself. We talked about speed. Generally, he's moving slow, lower metabolism, less muscle mass, all these things to live in the life up in the treetops. But he can move if he needs to. We mentioned earlier predators that he'd have to watch out for: the anaconda, the jaguar, ocelot, harpy, eagle. If he needs to, he will move. Now, generally, they spend most of their life in one specific area in those treetops in South America. But every now and again, they need to move on to a different tree. Now, they don't seem like they're adapted for swimming, but believe it or not, they're actually really good swimmers, you guys. Now, watch him move about at the moment. You can see how perfectly adapted he is for living life under the branches upside down. But if he needs to move to another area. They'd rather not walk across the ground if they can. If they do that, they might become a little snack for a bigger predator out there. So generally they'll wait for a flood to happen, heavy rain, which is not very uncommon out there in those rainforest habitats of Brazil or Peru as an example. And they swim remarkably well. So he'll let himself just fall into the water and swim over to an adjacent tree. And talking about trees, that's actually one interesting fact too. We talked about the food. Watch him eat. Think about that slow metabolism. Think about that 4-chamber stomach we were talking about earlier. And eventually, you know, what comes in has to come out. And generally for a sloth like Tornero here, it's going to take him about a week to process all that. And when the time comes, you know, that glorious day, he'll have to climb down from the treetops and have one specific spot for him to defecate. Now that can also be a little tricky because I mentioned generally they want to wait for a rainstorm, floods to move from tree to tree. But whether he's doing that or defecating, he is in danger of predation. So he has to be very, very careful. They pick one spot that they continuously return to defecate at the base of a tree and then return back up. So it's probably a good thing that he only needs to do that one time in the week just to be safe and avoid those predators out there. You guys, I heard some squawking going on. In the rainforest, there's so many sights and sounds. So not only sloths, jaguars, ocelots, tamanduas, but also my favorite are the birds. So we're going to say goodbye to Tornado for a moment.
We will be back. We will be back.
Move over here to one of other iconic species of South America, Amazonia. You are looking at our beautiful, these are two blue and yellow macaws. Now, they were originally called the blue and gold macaw, but we like to confuse people sometimes, so we changed the name a little bit. Not us, scientists or researchers moved the name over to blue and yellow macaw, and you can see why. You can tell a lot about birds by their name, whether it be a gray-crowned crane, a great horned owl, and again, here you're looking at the blue and yellow macaw. Macaws are the largest of the parrot species found on planet Earth. Majority of parrots are found beneath the equator, but there are a few species that can live in colder climates as well, by the way, like the Kia, as an example, one of my personal favorites you can find in New Zealand, or the thick-billed macaw, which is a parrot species that is endemic to North America, which we're doing work in conservation, which we'll highlight that in a second. But again, this species, you're going to find in the conservation hub of Amazonia as well. And you may think that parrots like these two are doing quite well in the wild, but you'd be surprised that there are many parrot species that need our support, need our conservation, mainly due to habitat loss and the pet trade. Animals like this suffering from wildlife trafficking and try to sell them in different countries. And I'm sure you out there in TikTok land can understand that that is not a good idea. Parrots can live a very, very long time. And I think right now, I'll talk more about it, but we're going to show you a flight behavior, everyone.
Yep. All right, we're going to go in the middle for the best view of this, y'all. So bear with me while the camera person goes through the woods. Okay. All right. Is this good? Back up. All right. Here we go.
All right, guys, here we go. See the wonderful flights of macaws. That's really my favorite thing when you see macaws fly. Check this out. Isn't that amazing, folks?
They're about to come back this way, so we're just going to hang out just for a second. And yes, we are the zoo that had the first YouTube video. That is my favorite trivia fact. All right, here we go.
Wow, look at
Too
that,
fast
folks.
for me.
Look at those feathers. Look at that long tail feather they have. Helps them to maneuver in that thick rainforest habitat. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but this big bird actually does pretty good in those thick rainforests out there. Now, there's a variety of different macaw species you can find in Amazonia. This particular species, the blue and yellow, are really iconic in my opinion. Many people are familiar with this wonderful, wonderful species.
Here we go. Ooh, we got them both.
Woo.
Beautiful. Yeah, vroom, vroom.
Now, I know, folks, it doesn't seem that way, but believe it or not, these birds do blend in pretty good out there in this rainforest out there. I've seen the scarlet macaws, blue and yellow macaws, flying about and blending in really good to the treetops. Some of the predators we talked about, the tornado, are sloth species we'd have to watch out for. The macaws have to worry about as well. While we're seeing this flight behavior, it's another testament to the wonderful training that we do here and teaching that we do here at San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. And I mean, all species are amazing, but again, being the bird nerd that I am, I definitely want to highlight how amazing free flight behaviors are. They have all choice and control, but with proper teaching tactics, operant conditioning, positive reinforcement, we'll be able to share these amazing experiences to our public. If you want to see more free flight like this, I'd highly recommend joining us at the zoo in the opening parts of our day, and you can see a lot of this wonderful flight behaviors as well.
And who are these? What are the names?
This is Sierra and Azul.
Ooh.
Sierra and Azul, gorgeous species,
so beautiful,
very intelligent. And while they have them out, folks, now I was talking about the pet trade, and that's a big issue, but there's something I really want the public to know about these birds. They're extremely long-lived, and they can be a little destructive. There's a coworker of mine had a best way of describing what it's like having a parrot. It's like having a 2-year-old with a pair of scissors in one hand and a blowhorn in the other. And let me describe why I said that. This is one of the smartest animals on planet Earth. Depending how you want to judge intelligence, they are right up there with the elephant, the dog, the pig, the dolphin. Extremely intelligent animals. Some people like to attribute that to about a 2-year-old mentality. Now, I know there's some parents out there, so parents, let's take a moment, put down your coffee or your tea, and think about this. Think about having a 2-year-old for 60 to 70 years. Yeah, I hope you didn't drop your coffee, but that's exactly what it's like.
I think everybody in the chat just dropped their coffee.
Exactly right. So I know they look adorable, but unfortunately, parrots are having a big issue out there. People think it'd make a wonderful companion being part of your family, but a parrot in the United States goes through at least 8 different families because people don't realize how much work, time, and attention. I mentioned a pair of scissors and I mentioned a blowhorn, right? Now, we're going to be showing you a different species called the green-winged macaw, both extremely powerful beaks. This is the 2nd largest parrot species on planet Earth. Now, that beak, that mandible, extremely powerful. It's constantly growing. In the jungles of South America, they have plenty of trees and branches. They hollow out logs for their nest cavities. And if you have one at home, maybe they'll pick your couch, right? Or your favorite rocking chair.
Really quick, we're a little bit backlit. Could we turn around so we can see them in the sun?
Perfect.
See if we can't. Yeah, there we go. I just want to make sure everybody can see how absolutely gorgeous these colors are.
They're good messy, folks. These seed dispersers, just like the beaver in their natural habitat in North America, they help grow that rainforest out there. So a beautiful green-winged macaw like you see here will eat a variety of seeds and nuts while he's eating. Notice how much of the debris that falls through the ground. Now, oftentimes you'll see seeds fall to the forest floor, which will help propagate many different plant species. So imagine having that in your home, and I'm sure your home isn't a rainforest, so we definitely don't want that in our home also. I mentioned a blowhorn example as part of the reference to their call. It's a very powerful vocal that they have. It needs to travel for great distances out there in the wild. So a beautiful species, a wonderful ambassador to his brothers and sisters out there in South America, Amazonia, the hub that we were talking about. But we definitely want to protect them out there in the wild and really fight that wildlife trafficking that's going on out there.
All right, awesome. Thank y'all so much for sharing them with us. I think we're going to go back and head toward the sloths again. I know it's Sloth Day. We've showed you some really incredible animals today. Marco's been with us as we talked through the North American beaver and some really amazing bird species. But now, here is the thing that everyone has been waiting for. We are back to finish the day.
That's right, guys. If you're just joining us, it is International Sloth Day, and this is the piece de resistance, right? The ambassador sloth here. You're looking at Tornado, a wonderful ambassador to his brothers and sisters out there in the Amazonia habitat.
Oh, we're picking some teeth.
Oh, very nice, very nice. I know. That is excellent. And again, so many adaptations with this, folks, but if you just joined us, we were talking about so many of their adaptations. Now, this is a vegetarian out there, so he's definitely enjoying his little leaves. Wait, you want to grab it? There you go, pal.
Getting some of those.
You got it.
This is a hibiscus
there
flower?
You go.
Right?
Yes,
yeah.
That's exactly right. Hibiscus flower. Now, a variety of different types of plants that they'll be eating out there in the wild as well. And what's interesting, earlier, folks, I was talking about their adaptations to live in a thick rainforest habitat. In particular, we were talking about this hair growth here, and how sometimes you'll find algae growing around the grooves of the hair. Every now and again, while they're cleaning themselves, they can actually get a little bit of the nutrients from the algae that's growing into their fur. So that's really interesting as well, that he is just basically a walking ecosystem, I think, a wonderful representation of South America, in my opinion. Just think about the rich biodiversity out there in those rainforests, and they most definitely need our protection. Talking about protection too, our wildlife care specialist here had a very interesting, there we go, we got another one for you, buddy. A very interesting point that I wanted to highlight. If you are traveling out there in, say, Costa Rica or Brazil, for an example, another issue, not only habitat loss, is actually roads and traffic, believe it or not. There are many animals on planet Earth that are suffering from being hit by vehicles, by attempting to cross over certain roads. And as you can see Tornado move right now, he's not the fastest animal out there. So imagine a species like Tornado trying to move across a road and then not being able to move fast enough to avoid a moving vehicle. So remember that when you travel throughout your experience.
That's like the candy.
You guys, I got the favorite biscuit right here. Here we go. Let's hear those crunching sounds too, right? So let's get a little closer.
We're gonna get really close. Oh. Oh.
Primate biscuit.
Working on it. Wait for the crunch. Oh. It's hard when you just got like 2 teeth.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Good job, buddy.
It was so good.
Excuse me. I'm laughing here. I'm sure a lot of you try to talk with your mask on. It gets a little difficult, but you know, we're following all the proper guidelines, so you want to make sure these animals are protected well. Folks, I was talking about road travel, and you know, unfortunately, that is an issue these animals are having too. There's another very iconic species of South America called the tapir that's also having the same issues, which is why we have days like this, why it is International Sloth Day, to talk about these animals. We even have an International Tapir Day as well. So people are aware of these species, the obstacles that they face out in the wild. And also, it really highlights the interconnectedness that we're trying to make everyone aware of on planet Earth. And, you know, conservation is at the heart of what we do here at San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. And it begins with those connections we make with people and wildlife every day here at San Diego Zoo or the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. So if you're in the area, folks, you're anywhere in Southern California, if you have the means to do it, come to San Diego and visit our 2 front doors here to help support all the wonderful species and conservation efforts that we do all around the world. And as I said earlier, if you don't have the ability to travel to San Diego, that's okay too. There are many accredited zoos, aquariums in your areas to support. And if you don't have that either, that's perfectly okay. You know what I say? Go outside. Go enjoy the sunshine, enjoy some nature, and enjoy planet Earth, the rich abundance of planet Earth that we have to offer.
Amazing.
He's so great.
Majestic. Oh yeah, the whole body.
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
let me show you guys the whole body. He's long boy. Here we go. Okay, we're gonna try and do a little from one end to the other.
Oh yeah.
And about how much does Tornado weigh, did we know?
14.6 pounds this morning.
14.6 pounds.
Mother's closer to 17. So
Mother's
a little bit on the smaller side.
Oh, excellent. 17
And he's
pounds.
only, you said 2.5 years old.
Yep.
Wow. So happy 2.5 birthday.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Oh, that's great.
Getting a little snack and some naps for
Yeah, he falls
2.5
asleep
years.
mid-bite quite often.
same.
Right? Just retired.
We were talking about an interesting story prior to the beginning of TikTok Live here about being able to still interact with Tornado while he was with his mom. And again, it really highlights the relationship and trust we've built with our ambassadors here, that our wildlife care specialist staff were able to work with Tornado here and his mother successfully while she was still raising him. So that's, again, just a testament of the work that we do here at San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance to help share with you and help you engage with these wonderful, iconic species of their beautiful habitats out there.
Hi, buddy. Oh, we got a snack.
Oh, excellent.
Well, some weird touch
Now,
teeth.
oh yeah.
Oh, nope.
Oop.
Still chewing.
Now, folks, I mentioned, going out, supporting San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance if you can. Going to your accredited zoos and aquariums. Going out into nature if you can as well. And I know there's some kids out there, possibly, maybe you don't have a lot of nature accessible. There's many ways for you to reach out and get connected with wildlife. If you have a phone, which you probably do if you're looking at this TikTok live at the moment, or a computer, I recommend going to our websites, especially San Diego Zoo Kids website. And we have a lot of fun programs there for all the kiddies out there. But not only that, also a lot of things offered for the adults as well, folks. So we want to show and give accessibility to all people out there in the world to be able to connect with wildlife on a day-to-day basis. Now, I mentioned a little bit or a few times about our conservation hubs. We have 8 conservation hubs. So it's not only the work that we do here at San Diego Zoo and San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance and Safari Park, but it's also the work that we're doing with our over 200 collaborative conservation organizations. Now, I'm talking about not only governments, not only nonprofits, but also just the communities themselves that live alongside the wildlife also. That's really the key thing for me, why we've changed our name. If you're familiar with San Diego Zoo and the Safari Park, we've had a name change a little bit ago. Now we're San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. And that word alliance, it's key. It really reflects the work around the world, the interconnectedness we keep talking about of people and wildlife, to help bring awareness to wildlife all around the world, to really empower human beings to get involved and help make a difference.
Well, thank y'all all so much for joining us today for Sloth Day. I think we're going to let Tornero go on and have his afternoon/evening/night nap. But thank you all for joining us. Marco, thank you for leading us. Appreciate you all. Please remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. We're also here on TikTok. Drop us a line. Let us know what you want to see next. We're always open to ideas for videos and lives. We love sharing with you. So let us know what you'd like to see, and we'll see you next time.